Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 123 of Explode Your Expert Biz show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in their world. Today, I have the pleasure to interview the one and only John Lee Dumas. John created a multi-million-dollar business with his podcast. So in this interview, we are going to explore how it did that. So it's really fascinating, and make sure that you listen in particular, because if you're thinking about running a podcast or growing a business online, then there is no one better than John Lee Dumas, which is considered by many people the king of podcasting. But before we go into what we are going to cover in this interview, let me share with you the tool of the day. As you know, every week I'm going to share with you something that I use to make my life and my business easier, better. And today, I want to share with you a piece of software that allows me to create high-converting marketing funnels in minutes. And the software is called ClickFunnels. Now, I absolutely love it. I'm in love with ClickFunnels. Gotta say, I have a bromance with ClickFunnels and Russell Branson. And the software is awesome because it allows you to create high converting pages literally in minutes. They have templates, funnels that are already created, and it takes away all the hours and hours and hours of learning how to code or to create copies that convert. You have great templates that are already done for you. So absolutely love it. The software is called ClickFunnels. In this case, there is my affiliate link. So if you decide to get it and to test your free trial, then please do it from my affiliate link so I can earn something. Really appreciate it. But then it's completely up to you. You can get a 14-day free trial anywhere. As I said, I'm recommending this because I use it. All my events pages, funnel pages, they are created via ClickFunnels. So make sure that you check it out. Here we go, ClickFunnels. The link is in the show notes and in our blog. Now, let's move to the interview that we're doing today. As I said, we are interviewing John Lee Dumas on how he created a multi-million-dollar business with his podcast. Now, for those of you that don't know John Lee Dumas, is the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is an award-winning podcast where he interviews inspiring entrepreneurs every Monday and drop value bomb every Thursday. His goal with Entrepreneurs on Fire is to deliver the inspiration and strategies you need to start your own entrepreneurial journey and create the life you've always dreamed of. JLD publishes over 2,000 interviews. He published, can you believe that? 2,000 interviews with incredible entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins, Seth Godin, Gary Vee, Barbara Corcoran, Tim Ferriss, and many, many more. And is considered the king of podcasting by many, and he helps other entrepreneurs create their successful podcasts too. In this episode, we talk about how to create a $1 million podcast, how to use the fire funnel to get the clients you want, and how JLD was able to create the life a business he wants. So you're going to love it. You can read the full transcript of and get all the bonus resources on our website, which is www.gtex.org.uk/episode 123. You will find also the link here in the show notes. Now, remember that if you want to create six-figure presentations and you want to make money by selling from the stage, it doesn't have to be that hard. I've created a simple checklist for you to use called the Ultimate Selling from the Stage Checklist. Check it out because this is the most comprehensive checklist to create a pitch that sells without selling like a douche. Let's put it this way. And you will find the link here in the show notes. And also, if you want to receive daily support in your coaching and speaking business, join our private Facebook group, Explode Your Expert Biz. You'll find the links in the show notes, or you can go on Facebook and find Explode Your Expert Biz, and then I'll welcome you to the community. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. And also, if you like this episode, I would really appreciate if you can leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It definitely helps the show, and it definitely helps other people listen to these value bombs that we deliver 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you want to reach out to me, you have any question, just reach out to me at simone@gtex.org.uk. It comes straight into my inbox. Without further ado, let's hear it from the one and only John Lee Dumas. See you later. Hello, welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. Simone Vincenzi here with the one and only John Lee Dumas. How you doing, John?
You know, the sun is shining, the birds are singing down here in Puerto Rico. Life is good.
Perfect. So I'm sure that I don't even there is a question that you ask to your guest every show, which is, are you ready to ignite?
Can't you read behind me? It's, are you prepared?
Are you prepared to ignite? I'm not even asking this question because I know you are. For people that don't know you, before we dive into podcasting and how you became a podcasting legend, can you tell us a bit more about you and where you started?
You know, I just started like all people do. I was born, went off to university, went off to the Army, tried corporate finance, tried commercial real estate, tried law school. None of those things worked for me. So I just said, hey, let's learn, let's self-educate. And that led me to podcasts, just as a consumer, as a listener. And I just loved the medium. I really just enjoyed, I got it. It was on demand, you know, that it was free, that it was very targeted content. And I said, why can't I do this? And I looked for the niches that existed in the field, and nobody was doing a daily show interviewing entrepreneurs. So I said, I want to be that guy. And that was almost 2,000 episodes ago. So it's been quite a journey.
It definitely has been a journey. I actually watched the show reel that you put out on Facebook this morning, and
I saw that.
Yeah, that's pretty slick, and I absolutely love also knowing more about you and your journey and how Entrepreneurs on Fire came about. So for people that want to know about creating a podcast, I've watched your speech that you gave at Traffic and Conversion Summit, and it was awesome. And you were talking about funneling up and funneling down, and that was a really interesting concept. Can you explain the concept?
Yeah, the concept is, you know, a lot of people just think of like the open V, where it's like, how do I take people from the top of the funnel down the funnel into where I make a sale at the bottom? But they're missing something. Like, how are they getting the people into the top of the funnel? What's the quality of the people at the top of the funnel? Well, you actually can control that if you first funnel up. And how you funnel up is you're creating that audience. You're creating that top of the funnel so that when you flip it over and you do start funneling down, then you have an audience that knows, that likes, that trusts you. So at Traffic and Conversion, I took people through my $1 million podcasting funnel. And it was just that very process of teaching people exactly how to grow an audience of people who knows you, who likes you, who trusts you, because you've been delivering free, valuable, consistent content. And guess what? Maybe that's through a podcast. Maybe that's through video. Maybe that's on Instagram or social media in general. Who knows? But you have to build that audience up first, so that when you start putting them down your funnel, they're already bought into who you are and they trust you and they're looking for more.
So you have a lot of people talk a lot about funneling down. So you have the program and the next 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 program. But in the process, what are the steps of the funneling up process? because that's, I think, what caught most of my attention, and I think what was very different from what everyone is talking about all the time.
Yeah, well, it would be definitely hard to kind of condense that 45-minute presentation into the time that we have today, where I do go through every one of those steps. But I will say, if people want to go to my Facebook page and kind of scroll down a little ways, I actually posted that entire presentation from traffic and conversion on my Facebook page. You just have to go down to, I think it's like the early March timeframe, where I posted that entire 45-minute talk where I go through that process. So I highly recommend it. But, you know, it really just starts at the top, at the core, which is, what's your idea? Like, what's the idea that you are going to do to actually create free, valuable, and consistent content for your audience that's going to continue to take you down that funnel up method, getting more people, giving more value, adding, giving, that's going to get you to the place and the point where you need to be, so that when you do flip that switch and start bringing people now down a funnel, they're the right people. So it starts with the idea. You know, a lot of people just skip over that part because, you know, they don't think it's as important as it is. But the reality is, this is something that you should want to be doing, not just for the next couple of weeks, but, you know, for the next couple of years, 3-5 years down the road. Are you still going to want to be doing this thing? That idea is key. It's critical. So take your time, go through the process step by step, come up with that idea that really inspires and excites you, and then you can really start the rest of that process.
And what I will do as well, I will put the link in the show notes, so then you guys don't have to scroll down a lot of the news feed, but you're going to find the All Talk at Traffic and Conversion Summit, which was very, very powerful. And
yeah,
yes,
I post a lot, so it'd be pretty buried.
Exactly.
We'll let Vincenzi do the work.
I have it saved, so it's gonna be very easy for me to find it. Hey yo, I save all good quality stuff. Now let's talk about the podcasting world right now, because when you started, it was very different 2,000 episodes ago. And how did you see change, and what do you think right now is really working?
Like, listen, when I launched, it was great timing. You know, not many people were podcasting. Not many people were listening to podcasts either. So, you know, pros and cons. But the competition wasn't that extreme. And it really just allowed me as an individual to kind of do it in a little land grab and just kind of have this kind of broad podcast, you know, Entrepreneur on Fire, EO Fire, where, you know, I just interview entrepreneurs and I talk about their journey. And like, it was very vague and very broad, but it worked because it was valuable. You know, fast forwarding to today, I've seen this, you know, continuous transition to the podcasts that win today. The podcasts that are really doing good things are ones that are super unique, that really niche down into one area, into one topic, and they don't have hundreds of thousands of listens. I mean, Entrepreneurs on Fire gets 1.3 million listens every single month. That's a huge podcast. But, you know, that's a very broad audience at the same time. But the podcast that's all about equestrian, you know, and riding horses, that has 1,000 listens per episode, like, that is unbelievably huge and so valuable because it's such a niche audience. Everybody that's listening to that is in love with horses and riding, and it's just perfect for that reason. Those podcasts are winning at a very high level. So that's the key. Niche down into that one area that you can absolutely dominate.
I know that you have explored right now one of your side project, passion project, is another podcast.
Absolutely.
Can you tell a bit more about, because it's completely different from Entrepreneurs on Fire.
100% different. And it really does feed into what I was just talking about, where I was looking around and I was saying, like, what am I really excited about and passionate about? And I love reading audio biographies and autobiographies. And, you know, I just love reading the works and the lives of people who have come before us. And so I realized there was a big need out there, you know, that wasn't being served in the podcasting space, of really profiling incredible historical figures who have just done great things. You know, my first episode was Alexander the Great. You know, right now I'm working on Napoleon. people who have done great things in the past and just making an audio biography of their life. And I brought in voice actors and sound effects. And, each episode is like, 2 hours in length, although I break them up into about 30-minute series, but the whole series itself is about a 2-hour clip of Alexander the Great's life from beginning to end. Like, you can listen to that episode and you'll know what the life of Alexander the Great was. And that's just exciting times, and that's exciting stories for me because I loved doing it. I learned so much, and the people that listen to it, they're just so into it. And guess what? It's not for everybody. In fact, it's not for most people. But for those people that it's for, it really is at a very high level.
Absolutely. In fact, that's why I absolutely love it. I absolutely loved it. And I listened to all the first series, the first episode on Alexander the Great, all different series. And because I was looking for this podcast talking about autobiographies, and I couldn't find it. Here we go. And I remember you mentioning this on an interview in a Facebook group with Johnny Cooper, which is one of our clients and one of our dear friends. And then I said, okay, yes, brilliant. I'm going to check it out immediately. Slick.
Nice. What do you think about like the voice actors and stuff? Like,
it's so cool. It's so cool.
I purposely made it like corny and a little bit like funny because I just didn't want it to be too serious. Like, it's not meant to be
it's entertainment.
This, like, serious
it's entertainment.
monotone. Yeah, it's meant to be like edutainment, where you are getting educated because I'm taking you through the true real stories of this, but at the same time, like, you're getting entertained.
Cool. I have 2 more questions and then we wrap up. Question number 1 is, what is working now in your business that every other expert in their niche should be doing?
Really doing things that don't scale. I mean, listen, this is the reality is that, I run a multi-million-dollar a year business. I have a podcast that gets millions of listens every single month. I don't need to be having one-on-one conversations with my listeners and with my followers and fans and whoever, but I do because the things that I learn during those conversations are so scalable. Like, a lot of people say, I could never take the time to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody just for the sake that it's a one-on-one conversation because that's my time. And, my time is money and all these things. Well, those one-on-one conversations that I have and that I do give me the ideas to launch things like the Freedom Journal, the Mastery Journal that have now, combined for over $1 million in sales, and ideas for these other things and projects that I'm working on right now from those conversations. So do things that don't scale, have the one-on-one conversations. They're absolutely critical.
Perfect. Now, to wrap up, I know that you have an incredible free course on how to start a podcast. And I've actually went through that. Even if I already started a podcast, I decided, let me see what John has to say. And I loved it. So can you tell our listeners about where can they find this free podcasting course and the other things that you are creating as well?
Sure. I made it very hard to remember. It's freepodcastcourse.com. freepodcastcourse.com. Go there, completely free. 15 days on how to create, grow, and monetize your podcast. And I just love this free model. That's why I do a daily podcast. That's why I do webinars, and they're all free. And I love doing it for those reasons. So I have a blast. And if you want to head over to eofire.com, we have other free courses too on webinars, on funnels, on goals, on productivity. Just check them out under our free products tab and prepare to ignite. Don't get ready to ignite, but be prepared.
Prepared to ignite. Prepared to ignite. Fantastic, John. Thank you very much for the interview. It's been a blast.
It was great hanging out, brother. I'll see you hopefully sometime soon.
Indeed, we will. Ciao.
Take care.